Hi everyone, this is Allura, and this video is going to cover the upcoming FaceFront collection for spring 2011. It's called Lust Quest, and it will be available on FaceFrontCosmetics.com April 20th, so that's just a couple of days from now. The collection includes 6 pigments, 3 sheer lip balms, 3 waterproof gel liners, they can also be used as shadows, and 2 blushes. Remember to look in the bottom bar for all the extra information, like the links to the reviews for these items and pictures and swatches. And if you're viewing this video on April 18th or 19th, you still do have time to enter the $200 Stila giveaway and the MAC Quite Cute Collection giveaway, so make sure you go to the blog and check those out. Alright, let's move on to swatches. We're going to start with the 6 artistic pigments. As you can see, the packaging for this collection is like normal FaceFront packaging, except that they have these silver glittery hearts that are painted on the inside of the lid. Here's what the packaging looks on the inside. As you can see, these are jars, and they have sifters in them with these 3 holes where you can get the pigment out. I'm going to start from the top and go to the bottom and left to right. The first color there is Mouse Gray. Then you have Silver Fox, Sea Soldier, then starting on the bottom row, Allura, Lala Lilac, and Steam. Up close we have Mouse Gray, and this is a matte color. It's a mid-tone gray. And if I didn't say this before, each of these pigments is $10.50 each. Then we have Silver Fox, which is actually a shimmery lilac color. And FaceFront says that this has an ultra steel finish. Then we have Sea Soldier, which has a steel finish, and it's this teal, ocean blue, a little bit of turquoise color. Then we have Allura, and FaceFront says this has a light finish. I'm not sure what that means, but we'll see when we swatch it. And this is definitely a light neutral color. This is Lala Lilac, which also has a steel finish, and it's this very vibrant purple color. Finally, we have Steam, which is a pewter finish, and it's this sort of muted orange, burnt orange color. Alright, I'm going to start with the swatches. And if I hadn't mentioned before, these eyeshadow pigments are $10.50 each. The first color is Mouse Gray, and it is a matte. As you can see, it's a medium-toned gray. It's not super opaque, but it does give you a clear gray color. This is a matte, and something else I was going to say now. Oh, what I was going to say is that I'm swatching these like I always do with an eyeshadow brush, but more importantly, I am swatching them over primer. And I do this because these are loose pigments, so they need sort of a base to stick to. I'm going to add one more layer so you can build up the color. Alright, it is kind of powdery, so definitely get an eyeshadow base for it to adhere to. Next is Silver Fox. This has an extremely glittery and shimmery finish to it. It is a light lilac purple color. I'm going to put on a second layer. It's extremely shimmery and glittery. It's got very pretty silver shimmers in there. Alright, so that's what 2 layers of that looks like. Next is Sea Soldier, which is also a steel finish. So again, it has lots of silver shimmers in it. And the shimmers seem to be a little more finely milled than Silver Fox, which is just to the left of it. And this is a very nice ocean greenish blue. Kind of a turquoise color also. Next up is Allura, which is supposed to have a light finish. And whereas the ones with a steel finish, I think I understand what FaceFront means by a light finish, whereas the steel finishes, they have these very clear silver chunks of glitter. The steel finishes, they have a sheen to them, but the finish is not, there aren't as obvious chunks of glimmer in them. It's just sort of a sheen, and it's very finely milled. Next up is La La Lilac, which is also a steel finish. It's a very vibrant bluish purple. It has sort of blue shimmers in it. And here's a second layer. Nice pigmentation. You can build it up with multiple layers. And last up we have Steam, which is a pewter finish. I think the finish is very similar to the steel finishes. It is shimmery, but it's more of a sheen as opposed to having obvious chunks of glitter. So this is a, I would say, medium toned neutral orange color. It may be a little bit on the red side, a little bit on the warm tone side, but it's a lighter orange color. Alright, so here are the colors up close from left to right. You have Mouse Gray, Silver Fox, Sea Soldier, Allura, La La Lilac, and Steam. All of them have glimmers in them, or shimmery chunks in them, except for on the very left, which is Mouse Gray, and that's a matte color. I like the pigmentation on these. Not super intense, but definitely pigmented and good for most people's what most people are looking for in their pigments. The matte color Mouse Gray is not quite as pigmented as I'd like it to be, but for everyday use, I think that's actually fine. It's it's not super intense, but then again, for every day you probably don't want a super intense color. Next up are the Lip Lusts. These are, I believe, going to be permanent in this line. Maybe not these specific colors, but these are sheer hydrotone lip balms. That's how FaceFront describes them. On the left you have Cantaloupe, in the middle is Kiwi for Lunch, and on the right is Lust Quest, which is also the name for this collection. These are $10 each, and again, you can buy them on FaceFrontCosmetics.com. Here are the colors. We have Can't Elope, which I think is supposed to kind of be a play on the color Cantaloupe. It is a light orange color. Next, we have Kiwi for Lunch, and it's this lime green color. And last, we have Lust Quest, which is this bright pink, reddish pink color. Alright, I'm going to do swatches now. These do come in pots, so even though it's not the most sanitary thing, most of us will be applying them with our fingers. So first we have Can't Elope, and then you can see these are sheer. FaceFront describes them as sheer, so we shouldn't expect too much color. It's a sheer orange color. And then we have Kiwi for Lunch, which is a light lime green color. And then we have Lust Quest, which comes off as a very light pink color. These are very smooth to the touch. They aren't tacky or sticky, at least not when I'm swatching them. I will let you know how they are actually applied to the lips, and you can see that in the review, and I will post a link to that in the bottom bar. Next up we have the 3 Cyber Gels that come with this collection. These are a new product that FaceFront has released, and they are supposed to be very pigmented, waterproof gel liners that can also be used as shadows. And these are $9.50 each. From left to right, the colors are Blackjacks, which is a matte finish, Magnetica, which is a steel finish, and Visionary Violet, which has a pewter finish. Alright, on to the swatches. I'm going to swatch these with an eyeliner brush, starting with Blackjacks. And it goes on very smoothly, and it's extremely intense, an opaque black color, which is great. Next up is Magnetica. And this does have a, what FaceFront calls a pewter finish, so it has shimmers in it. This is not as opaque or as smooth in application as Blackjacks, that first color. I'm going to build it up with another layer to try to get that silver color out there. It is a really nice steel finish and steel color there. It just isn't quite as smooth as the first color. And third is Visionary Violet. Again, goes on very smoothly and evenly. It's a nice eggplant purple color. This has a steel finish. So there are shimmers in it. It's not matte, but there aren't noticeable, definable chunks of glitter in there. And since FaceFront says these act as a shadow also, I thought I'd do thicker swatches of using them as a base. So again, this would go on as a very intense black color that you might want to use if you're going for a really dramatic smoky eye. And Magnetica would actually be a really, really beautiful silvery color. Might be more suitable as an eyeshadow base or shadow than it would be as a liner. And then last is Visionary Violet, which is also a nice purple. And since FaceFront says that these are waterproof, we may as well see how well the colors stay on the skin. So first, just with a dry finger to see how well they hold up. Okay, so they might not be quite dry yet, but still, they've been on my skin for a good minute or so, and they do smudge. And then just putting my finger on a makeup remover so that it's very slightly damp. Yeah, you can see that they do definitely smudge. So not quite waterproof, as FaceFront claims. And last up, we have the two blushes. They're called Color Volume Mineralized Blushes. On the left, you have Lustful, and on the right, you have I Dream of Peaches. And these are $15 each, and both of these colors are limited edition. This color is Lustful, and here is I Dream of Peaches. Alright, first I'm going to swatch Lustful, and I'm swatching this with an angled brush. And this is a very, very light pink color, and it has a ton of shimmers in it. Alright, to build up the color, I'm gonna put on a second layer. Okay, so not a lot of color. I think it would really be suitable as a highlighter for a lot of skin tones, but if you really wanted that pink color, then you could probably only get that if you have very light skin. And I'm an NC 20 to 25, depending on whether it's winter or summer in MAC, so you would have to be no darker than that color for this to show up on you. And next we have I Dream of Peaches. And this is more of an orange color, I would say, than peach. But there is a peach tint there, kind of apricot tint. Again, it's very, very shimmery, just like Lustful is. And this is more pigmented than Lustful there. So probably not a typical colored blush for most skin tones, but there are some darker skin tones that actually look very nice with an orange hued blush in it. So if you are of a darker skin tone and you want to kind of experiment around with a more orange blush, you can do that. Or you can, of course, layer it with a pink blush and see how they go well together. Alright, there you go. There is the new FaceFront collection, Lust Quest. It'll be available on FaceFrontCosmetics.com April 20th. Make sure to check out the blog for photos and swatches. There will also be reviews for each and every one of these items. Look at the bottom bar for those links and information, and make sure to enter the Matte Quite Cute giveaway and the $200 Stila and Train Case giveaway, which will only be going on for a couple days to another week. So make sure you enter those. If you have any questions, feel free to write them down in the comment section or in the comments on the blog, or you can send a message directly to me at Allura@allurabeauty.com. Alright, hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.